know what? I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of hoping that today there'd be a slow news day because I just wanted to relax from the videos for a bit. Nope. NASCAR, IndyCar, and F1 decided, you know what? Let's just throw out all the big stuff today at once. Welcome back to the episode of Inside the Lines. My name is Jett. Hope you all have a wonderful day. We got 4 huge stories to talk about. 2 from NASCAR, 1 from IndyCar, 1 from F1. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's not waste any time and jump into it. We first start off with breaking news. Well, I shouldn't say breaking news. This was kind of expected. Austin Cindric. Now, originally, it was supposed to be that he would transition from the 22 in the Xfinity Series to the 21 in the Cup Series next season. Well, then reports came out about Brad Keselowski leaving Team Penske at the end of this season, and many people thought, okay, well, if the 2 is up for grabs, more than likely Cindric would take over. It has now been confirmed Austin Cindric will replace Brad Keselowski in the 2 car next season. Now, Discount Tire will remain a Penske sponsor with both Cindric and Ryan Blaney for 2022. The remainder of Cindric's partner sponsor lineup will be announced at a later date. And honestly, not surprised. I mean, I think a lot of us assume when the report came out of Keselowski leaving, or at least considering a new team like Roush Fenway, more than likely Cindric would take over. It was just a matter of time. So then when this announcement came out, many people thought, okay, well, if the 22 is open, that means Matt DiBenedetto is going to get the ride, right? No. No, that does not mean that. At the same time, the Keselowski news and Cindric news came out. Wood Brothers Racing made their own announcement. They have decided that Matt DiBenedetto will not return to the Wood Brothers Racing in the 21 car next season. And in fact, he will be replaced by Harrison Burton, who is currently driving for Joe Gibbs Racing in the 20 car in the Xfinity Series. Now, there are many reasons for it. First of all, number one, I don't think DiBenedetto and the team were exactly clicking, especially this season. Last season, they were actually pretty good. They made the playoffs, had the opportunity to win a couple races. This year, though, they just haven't been there. Not as consistent. And on top of that, Harrison Burton, he's younger and he's got more sponsorship. Matty D, I think, has little to no sponsorship to his name. Harrison Burton, he's got Dex Imagining, which I believe is like a sunglasses company by him. So he's got more consistent, I feel like, in the Xfinity Series. And on top of that, he's got sponsorship behind him. DiBenedetto hasn't been that consistent. So I think when you look at it from all different angles, it makes sense. Now, you could argue that with the new crew chief change with the team, that they were starting to build some momentum, and they did. They finished 9th at Atlanta last weekend and 10th on the road course at Road America. But I think by then, Wood Brothers Racing and Penske, they already made their choice. I mean, when you look at the first top 10 they had at Road America compared to the last time they finished inside the top 10, which was at Kansas when they finished 4th. 19th, 24th, 23rd, 18th, 23rd, 24th, 32nd, and 18th between Road America and Kansas, the last 2 races that DiBenedetto finished inside the top 10. He just hasn't been consistent at all. And I think with Penske, they were starting to get a little bit frustrated. They wanted a driver that was younger, more youth, and had sponsorship and was more consistent. And Harrison Burton, not that bad of a choice. Even though he hasn't won yet this season, he did win 4 races in the Xfinity Series last season. So he's got a lot more winning to his name than Benedetto, unfortunately. But yeah, again, not a surprise, I think, when you look at it from all sides, why Wood Brothers and Penske made a decision to go with Burton instead of stick with DiBenedetto. Now, DiBenedetto did play a video regarding this announcement, 9 minutes on his Facebook page, and here's a quick clip of it.
Hey guys, I'm sure you saw the news that Austin Cindric's going to the 2, Harrison Burton's joining the 21 team for next year. So obviously that leaves me on the outs. I'm going to start this video by saying, first, my ask would be don't beat up on the Wood Brothers. They're family, and to me always will be. So that'll be ask number 1. There's a lot of people involved in this, as most of you know. That is what it is. And so why would I say that I'm, upset and it sucks? Well, obviously, because I don't know what I'm doing next year. I've been through this. We've been through this. You guys, fans, us, have been through this journey a lot. And my career's been full of a lot of heartbreak and frustration and all this. Also been super fortunate. So, but why would I have these emotions? Because I was so freaking lucky and still am to be driving the 21 car. Love it. And I want to get that 100th win for them bad. But this 21 team's also been broken for a while. And you try to give the benefit of the doubt and work through it, put all your effort into it, try and make it, work and make it click. And it wasn't. And I've said it for a long time. Our team wasn't clicking. That's no disrespect to anyone, no particular person. It just wasn't working. Weren't executing. I'll be the first to say before everybody, performance wasn't where it needed to be. We'd have some speed and we had some good runs and finish second and, this and that and have speed, but it wasn't clicking. And it's like a relationship, just like your relationship with your wife or your friends or your family. Your relationship with your team, that's what it is. It's a relationship. It wasn't there. It wasn't working. Been broken. And we finally, it took too long.
Yeah, it is disappointing, especially when you consider that DiBenedetto, he's been close so many times. We look at 2019 at Bristol with Levi Family Racing, last year at Talladega in the fall. I think there were other opportunities I think he had a shot at winning, but wasn't able to get it done. And he's just a fan favorite. Everyone just loves Matty Dean. They want to see him do well, and so do I, but I don't know. Last year, they were pretty good for where the Wood brothers were the last couple seasons. They were pretty good. I don't know what happened this year, but this year they just fell off. They weren't consistent. They weren't up front, at least to the extent they were last season. Man, it's just a shame. But fortunately now, Matty D is once again a free agent. And I don't know if he's going to be able to get a ride next season, at least a good ride next season. I don't know any other spots that are up for grabs. You could look at Trackhouse or 2311 Racing, but I highly doubt they're going to go for those drivers. But yeah, it sucks for Matty D because, again, like I said, we all like him. He's a fan favorite. We all want him to do well, but it's ruthless in the motorsports world. Don't put up the numbers, you get left out. Now let's move on to some good news. IndyCar. It has been nearly 20 years. It will be nearly 20 years since IndyCar last had a video game. That was back in 2005. Well, that streak will come to an end. IndyCar and Motorsports Games announced that they will have an IndyCar video game in 2023 for the first time, like I said, since 2005. And it will be developed by Motorsport Games. You know that company, right? The one that is currently making the NASCAR games. And they are currently also making the British Touring Car Championship Series games, I believe, 24 Hours of Le Mans games. They also have esports alliances with Le Mans, Formula E, Rallycross, and NASCAR Heat. Motorsport Games, I feel like, is becoming the EA Sports of racing. They're just getting all types of racing they can find and putting it under one umbrella. I think this is overall fantastic news. Finally, we've been begging for IndyCar to get a video game for God knows how long. And I feel like one of the biggest things that IndyCar needs to do in order to get back up to the top, or at least to become relevant again, is a video game. Look at Formula One when their F1 series and video games. That has extremely helped the younger population and the younger audience get invested into F1. There have been many times where people have played racing games, probably know nothing about racing, but they play the games and suddenly they become invested in the racing series themselves in real life. Especially when you think about some of the things that Motorsport Games is bringing along, with R Factor 2 being an engine developer, or using the R Factor 2 engine to help develop the games. Things are looking bright from a video game perspective for American racing. F1 and Codemasters, they're doing their thing over there. But for American video games, for racing, like for IndyCar and NASCAR, we need to have a good gaming developer that can help us lead into the future. And I'm starting to think Motorsport Games, they're going to be that company. They're taking all the racing series of Le Mans, BTCC, Formula E or Rallycross from the esports perspective, and now NASCAR and IndyCar. So yeah, great news for IndyCar, and happy to see this come about finally. And now on to our final story. NASCAR and the next gen car. They're releasing in 2022. Well, Formula One also is releasing a new car next year. They had their launch earlier today at about 10 o'clock, which is about an hour before this recording. They just wrapped up. I'm pretty sure they had the full launch on their YouTube page, but we're just going to go over like a quick summary of what the F1 2022 car is supposed to achieve at. Basically, it's supposed to achieve 4 different goals: closer racing, improve costs, to be cleaner and environmentally friendlier for the future and for the Earth, and to be safer. Now, it took 6 years for this car to be developed. F1 said that development on this new car began back in 2017. And if you look at it they've added a ton of different features and explained a whole page of how certain new features of the 2022 car is going to help racing, it's going to help with the environment and things like that, especially from a safety perspective. I mean, there were 2 accidents that F1 really took a look at. One was last year's Bahrain Grand Prix crash with Romain Grosjean. And some of the things they took from that was that from now on, in the event of a crash, the power unit will separate from the chassis in a safe manner without exposing the fuel tank. Another crash that they looked at was a 2019 fatal accident at Spa with Formula 2 driver Antoine Hubert. He was killed in that crash, unfortunately. What they took from that accident was that now a longer nose section to help dissipate energy in a crash, together with a stronger chassis size to resist T-bone incidents. And like I said, from the closer racing perspective, they've helped see when it actually hits the racetrack, because it may look cool and may do what F1 wants to say, but I'm pretty sure when the teams get their hands on the cars, they're going to try and manipulate it as much as they can to their advantage. But a lot of it's like a new era for racing as a whole. NASCAR in the next gen car next year, F1 in their new car. I think IndyCar is going to have a new one in 2023, if I'm not mistaken. A new era in racing, not just NASCAR, but in auto racing as a whole, is right around the corner, and I'm excited for to see what comes about of it. But that is going to conclude this episode of Inside Lines. Guys, tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below about any of the stories that I talked about. Sorry if I didn't talk so much about the news between Cindric and Burton, because there's really not much to go off of. I mean, we knew where Keselowski is probably going to eventually end up, and that is Roush Fenway. This situation with Matt DiBenedetto, I want DiBenedetto in a ride, but I don't know. I just don't see any spots that are available that make sense for DiBenedetto to land up. We'll just have to wait and see how silly season comes about. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Of course, like I said, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. And until next time, my name is Jett from MDK, and I'll see y'all next time.